in Spain next week. For more, we can cross live to Seville, from where we're joined by Alan Feehely, editor of Football España. Thank you so much for joining us on World Sport. There's been so much talk, hasn't there, about the likes of Benzema coming to the end of their careers, the end of an era. But he was so impressive, even more so after fasting all day yesterday for Ramadan. How's his performance being received where you are?
He's been superb, really. Ever since Cristiano left in 2018, he's been on another level. He's always been a fantastic player. I mean, he scored 316 goals in over a decade of service at Real Madrid, and you don't stay at that club for over a decade unless you're doing something right. But since Cristiano left, he's gone up to another level because, you know, he's playing as almost a 9.5, both in number 9 and number 10, in terms of creating goals and scoring them as well. For his first goal last night, he started the move playing in Vinicius Jr. down the left flank, had the drive and determination to get into the box, and then the presence of mind and the technique to score with a very, very good header, and then followed up with a second minutes later, and also had the presence of mind to capitalise on the mistake from Edouard Mendy and Antonio Rudiger for the third. He's been absolutely phenomenal, and he genuinely seems to be living a moment that he realises could be career defining for him, because I think it was Miguel Delaney said that his career has been in 3 parts. He was the wonder kid at Lyon, then he was a selfless kind of, you know, supporting act for Cristiano and to a lesser extent Gareth Bale at Real Madrid. But now he's a genuine, complete, all-round world-class centre forward. And I think that with him in their ranks leading the line, Real Madrid are afraid of nobody. Because if you can turn it on in the biggest nights, under the brightest lights, like they did against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge last night, or against Paris Saint-Germain at the Santiago Bernabeu earlier this month, I think you can do it against anybody. So while Real Madrid won't be the strongest team left in the competition, perhaps, they're not in the best moment of all these teams, but they have world-class performers who can decide games whenever they need to, and none more so than Karim Benzema.
Yeah, rightly. He's getting the plaudits in the newspapers, some of the headlines, Big Ben, people calling for him to be named Ballon d'Or winner, being talked about as the best player in the world at the moment. On the flip side, though, the newspapers do not make good reading for Chelsea here today. How disappointed do you think they will be with that performance? You know, how much was it down to them just not being good enough yesterday?
It's obviously disappointing for them. I think Thomas Tuchel is a superb coach and he's a very good squad at Chelsea. And being reigning European champions, you want to be performing better than that at home. But I think the context is the off-field situation at Chelsea, the uncertainty over their future and of the ownership, and the drama that's going on behind the scenes there. And I think that's been impressive how Tuchel can rile his troops when that initial news broke. To put together a strong run of results both in the league and also in the Champions League. But the reality of the matter is that footballers are human beings first and foremost, and it's very difficult to maintain high performance season after season. And having won the Champions League last season, it was always going to be difficult to retain the thing, because it's a very rare trait to be able to retain the Champions League, especially in the modern era. And the reality of the matter is that when you're playing against a team at home, if that team is Real Madrid, you're under a bit of pressure because there's no team more ruthless and more capable of performing in these nights than Real Madrid. And they will punish you, especially when they're in a moment like they are right now, in terms of they have something to prove and nothing to lose in many ways, because nobody expects them to win the Champions League, just like nobody expected to win it last season. So I think that it's a combination of factors. I think Chelsea are a good side, but they're composed of humans like all other football teams. And it's difficult to maintain the performance that they have had, especially given the context of the off-field situations. And they came up against a team in Real Madrid and a player in Karim Benzema who's just absolutely ruthless. So I don't think anybody, including Chelsea fans, will be too harsh on Tuchel and the players. I think they understand what's going on there. I just think that it's the case of sometimes you come up against a player like Karim who's, you know, in a clutch mode, and it's very difficult to compete against them.
Okay, Alan Feehely, great to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time. Another team with even less expectation, you said, around them. Villarreal, of course, pulling off a shock 1-0 victory over Bayern Munich. But stay tuned for the second leg next week.